Hey guys, how's it going? We're down here at Bomber Peak Distillery for another episode of our Distilling Duel series. Now in the past, we've done videos such as pot still versus a thumper to see which gets the most flavor. You can watch that video right here if you're interested in that. We've also done videos like copper versus stainless and seeing how much flavor we can pull out of either type of metal. You're welcome to watch that video right here as well. And today, we're actually flipping the script a bit. We're going to see just how much flavor we can lose. Directly in front of me, what I have is 20 gallons, 3 fermenters full of a flavorful rye whiskey fermentation. To my sides here are these monstrous machines that are used to create an azeotropic, that's 190 proof, neutral spirit with ease. We're going to be throwing these fermentations jam-packed with flavor in these machines, and we're going to see just how much flavor we can strip. Now, what's the difference here? How are these versing each other? How they get their stripping power is through little plates located in each of these sections. There are 2 types of plates, something called a downcomer plate, and there's something called a bubble plate. Today, we're going to be running those 2 types of plates head to head and seeing which one produces the best in 4 different categories. We're going to go more in depth onto the categories we'll be testing for, as well as talking more about these plates in general. But for now, let's go ahead and get our fermentations in our boiler and start from there. All right, guys, so we've gotten 10 gallons of these fermentations, 10 gallons in one boiler, 10 gallons in the other. And trust me, we didn't film that. You didn't want to see it, okay? It was messy, sticky, sludgy, not a fan. So anyways, it's in there. If you are curious how we made that, there is also a video for that. You can find that in this corner right here. Make sure to check that video out if you're interested. Now, on top of our rye fermentation, I also have about a gallon worth of feints just from past runs and everything. Now, I figure these smell gross. These are just an amalgamation of different recipes we've done, and they're nasty. What better time to clean them up than now? So we're going to dump also some of that in. These are 16-gallon boilers that we're using, but keep in mind, we don't have to use that full capacity. So all in all, we're going to be about 11 gallons worth in each boiler, and that's good enough. That's going to be able to manage us. So we're going to get those in, and then we will heat everything up. That was about a gallon of that. I just put in that boiler. This one to our left here already has it. Okay, guys, it's time to begin this distilling duel, downcomer versus bubble plates. Now in my right here, I'm gonna have downcomer plates. In my left are going to be bubble plates. Let's explain a little bit about what these plates are doing first. Now I do have a video on this. I'm gonna send you yet another link to our videos here. I've really loaded you guys up. But in this corner, you're going to see that bubble plate versus downcomer. We did sort of an introductory video on it. I did make one mistake on the orientation of the bubble plates in that video, but we're going to correct it here. Back to the matter is how these plates are working, how this flute is working, is each of these sections is loaded with a plate. Now what happens is, as we know, with distilling, vapor rises up, and when it makes contact with a cold chamber like a condenser, it turns that hot vapor into a liquid, and from there, with a pot still, it goes up, over, hits condenser, right into the jar. Now this flute uses a deflagometer, it's called, and this is a pre-condenser or reflux condenser. And so what happens is vapors push up, they hit this chamber, and since they can't go over, they go back down in the boiler. Now in that process, they're then reboiled, and this time they're lighter, and in terms of distilling, that basically just means more pure in a way, to keep it simplified. Now these chambers, what'll happen is they'll flood with low wines, essentially, drip back down to the boiler, and so rather than going up, down, and back up, they're basically going up, down, hitting a plate, transferring over to the next plate, going down, transferring over to the next plate, and so forth. So basically, we're just coming out incredibly pure. It's got a long travel distance between the boiler and the condenser, and so we're able to produce a very clean spirit that way. Bubble plates are doing pretty much exactly the same process, but they're using several different caps, whereas the Downcomer plates are only using one cap connected to a stem. Now this is going to be important knowledge to know, because let's go a little bit into the test we're testing for. You're going to see how these plates differentiate from one another, and it's going to follow into what we test on. The differences between these plates are downcomers are said to produce faster than bubble plates, and I guess in a way it makes sense. With the downcomer plate, it's just a perforated plate with a bunch of holes connected to one cap, so it's able to push through a little bit faster through all these. Bubble plates have like several caps, and so I guess there's just a little bit more processing time. In theory, that makes sense, but we have to test for that. We're going to be testing for speed on these devices, seeing which one can produce that reflux faster if possible. Now on top of that, we also want to see really just the pure stripping power of both these plates. We want to see if one is able to produce a cleaner, more neutral spirit first pass. To that point, even though downcomer plates are said to be slower, they're also said to produce more reflux because they have more of those caps. Furthermore, you can change the orientation of the caps from the top to the bottom, and then that gives you supposedly more control over reflux. Basically, if all the plates are sitting on top except for one, we're going to get 100% reflux mode. But if we unscrew that cap, put it to the other side, change the orientation, that's technically like 85% reflux mode. We can take a few caps, go down to 50% reflux mode. You guys get the gist. And so we're going to test for versatility as well. We're going to see if we change this plate orientation around on both these machines, if we're able to then reclaim the flavor from this rye whiskey mash that way. And the final test we'll be doing is going to be ease of cleanliness. We're going to see which plate is a little bit easier to clean. So we've got a lot to test on. We're going to let these boilers heat up. While we're doing that though, let's go ahead and touch on a point. I'm going to touch base with Future Boo. Future Boo, are you with us?
We're doing okay here, Pass Boo. How are you?
Future Boo, can you give us more insight on ease of cleanliness now that you're back in the shop?
Sure, Pass Boo. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a rundown on these plates for you.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Pass Boo. You did quite a number on those plates. Don't worry, Future Boo's on the scene. We'll get them cleaned up.
Well, Pass Boo, I clearly had my plate full with getting these puppies clean. We soaked both of these plates in a 50-50 water citric acid solution for about 30 minutes. We started with the downcomers, and as you can see, that flat surface on the plate made cleanliness a breeze. Hitting that stem also took less than 15 seconds wrapping around. Then we went ahead and hit that cap with a little clean as well. We went ahead and hit that bottom side. All in all, we're looking about 1 minute and 15 seconds to get that plate looking nice, shiny, clean. Now for those bubble plates, you could say I really hit my capacity on trying to get them clean. It did take quite a fair bit more just to get everything clean on those. We have those divots and everything in between those plates that really interfere. Now in hindsight, I surely could have unscrewed all the caps on the plate, cleaned the plate, and then hit the caps. But the fact remains, those caps still need to be cleaned, and that unscrewing time does add to the cleaning as far as I'm concerned. So all in all, with unscrewing time, cleaning the caps, and cleaning the plate, you will see quite a big differential. We're talking about double the time. This is Future Boo with the inside scoop on cleaning the plates. And as far as I'm concerned, you can consider those plates served.
Well, thank you, Future Boo. You did an awesome job on that. You look devilishly handsome, by the way. Now, we're back in the shop. We're back here at Balmer Peak Distillery, and we have a few more tests that we need to accomplish. So I think the first thing we're going to be looking at doing is just really that overall stripping power. So let's let these boilers heat up, and we will see you guys in just 1 second. All right, and we are very close to heating up here on these machines. Now, during this long heating process, we kind of had an idea here. Our minds kind of sparked. We realized we're testing the plates out here, okay? Now, the deflagometer is our main source of reflux, but if we're trying to test what these plates will do, why would we have any help with that? We're trying to see what these plates will do by themselves. So we've taken out the deflagometer in an attempt to see just what these plates do by themselves. So our runs changed a little bit. Now we got a few more minutes for heat up time. Bear with us, we'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be testing here live is going to be our versatility of these plates. With our bubble plates, we're going to have 2 out of the 5 caps on the downside, which is going to create basically the loss of reflux in that. So that's basically 50% reflux mode. And then our downcomer plates, we've flipped 3 up. That's going to get us the versatility that we want. We want to see if these plates are able to produce that flavor, and what better time to do that than the heads when we're just kind of pumping through. So we'll finish up our heads, continue along for maybe a jar or 2 of hearts, seeing if that flavor comes over, and then testing from there. So we are beginning to fill up our second jar. These are still heads. Our alcohol tests indicate that it looks like our downcomer system is just slightly higher in proof. We're sitting about 122 proof in our downcomer machine. The bubble plate was coming out about 119, so it's very small differentials, but that's what we're seeing so far. And we are beginning to fill up our second jar. It also looks like, if you guys can see between these 2 jars, downcomer is filling up a tiny bit faster. As far as I'm seeing so far, it looks like there is truth to the downcomer plates being just a tiny bit faster than those bubbles. I am really confused though, because we have a higher proof in our downcomer plates as well. Usually it's not that way. The faster you go, the more loss of proof. So I'm not sure what that's about. We'll probably take a second reading just to confirm and then proceed from there. Okay, we just pulled our third jar worth of what probably is heads still from our bubble plate. As you can see, hopefully a little better now, on downcomer, that was about 5 minutes ago we pulled that jar. So I think it's pretty much confirmed. I think these downcomer plates are running a little steady, a little faster. So at the same time as we're sort of finding out this whole speed thing, we're also kind of working with the versatility side of things. And really, what we're finding is that's fairly similar. In terms of flavor out of both of these are still heads, so it's still a little premature, but they're not switching up much on flavor. Their proof, my first proof reading was probably a little bit off due to temperature. The second reading I took, we were sitting at 128 for both jars. So I think pretty much our proof is staying the same. That also doesn't make a lot of sense because this unit's faster. I don't know why they'd be at the same proof, but the findings that I have are what I found. So I can't really explain it. I just know what I'm seeing on a pretty accurate, it's called a digital density meter. It's a pretty accurate device. So it is what it is. We're just pushing along. The next thing we're going to be doing shortly here, let's fill up one more jar because I think we're going to start to be in our hearts there. We'll get a taste of that flavor and see really if one's bringing more flavor over than the other. And then we're going to switch to what should be basically stripping power mode, and we're going to try to strip as much flavor as possible and make this a neutral spirit. That's pretty interesting. This last jar we took off, the 4th jar of each, we're at a little bit different in temperature and a little bit different in proof. For our downcomer still, we're sitting at 108 proof with the distillate temperature at 68.8. For our bubble plate still, we're sitting at about 100 proof, 101, and the temperature is at 71.1. So a little bit hotter, a little bit lower in proof. Again, do I understand why? Absolutely not, I don't. Even with that variable in temperature, I don't think it really made that much of a difference. So I'm not sure where our proof's coming from, but we're going to proceed along until we can hit our reflux mode and begin testing stripping power. So far, the flavors coming through have seemed to change a little bit. They're not completely equal. What we're seeing is the bubble plate still seems to be able to produce a little bit more flavor. It's virtually the same for someone like me who doesn't really have a good palate, but we're getting opinions that say otherwise. So I think we're getting more flavor out of that bubble plate still, and maybe that has to do with it being slightly lower proof. Don't really know, but anyways, that's our findings. Okay guys, now as you can see, our flows have, our outputs have slowed down significantly. We're on the second jar of this slower output. Now, it is sort of surprising sometimes how much that deflagometer is actually doing for our proof. With that deflagometer active, we're sitting pretty much 190 consistently out of a machine like this. Now with just the plates active, we're achieving 160, which is not bad by any means. But again, you know, that's a pretty big variable in proof, 30 proof points just by adding that condenser. And it just has to do with the science of everything. But I still like what we've done here because again, we're testing just these plates. We're not trying to get help. So as far as what we're seeing with these plates, even though they're at the lower proof, and that lower proof is taking away from the stripping power that we're kind of going for, what these plates are doing by themselves is drastically different from what we achieved at the beginning when we were in sort of a pot still type format with less plates active. So on this run, as far as like what's coming out, we're not at a full neutral spirit. This isn't a vodka. There's still that spiciness from the rye, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do the rye whiskey here. Rye whiskey has a very noticeable spiciness to it, and so I thought it'd be a good indicator of whether that is fully stripping or not. We're still getting that over, but in terms of our pot still mode with less plates active during our versatile, and what this is now in stripping mode, we're seeing a pretty drastic decrease in flavor. All in all, it's definitely more noticeable in the bubble plates. We think it's doling out that flavor a little more than the Downcomer is, as well as it really truly does seem to be like a more refined spirit. We're noticing less of a bitterness with the bubble plates as opposed to Downcomers. Now, before we proceed with going over everything that we've learned here today, I think it's time for a shot. It's definitely time for a shot. I want you to go ahead and grab any spirit that you see fit. Take a shot with me, guys. This is to you guys. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, be sure to like the video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel for future Distilling Duel series videos, as well as just future videos in general regarding distilling. Down below in the description, you're also going to see a link to all our other social media. Be sure to subscribe, follow that stuff. We've got some good content there. And guys, go ahead and cheers me, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. So with all 4 points we wanted to hit here today finished up, let's go ahead and discuss this Distilling Duel. The first thing we tested was speed of our distillate. Now we saw that in the jars alone. Hopefully the camera picked things up correctly. Those Downcomer plates were processing that spirit faster than the bubble plates were. This makes sense in the design of the plate. Remember, with our Downcomer plates, we have a bunch of perforated holes that are completely open at all times. And so that is going to process faster than the slits that are within the caps of our bubble plate. Unfortunately, our windows got too fogged up for you guys to actually see inside these units, but we did see more processing power on the bubble cap side, and that just goes to show you as well. With this, it's flowing a little more freely. There's less percolation there. Things are processing less in a way, and that has to do with the speed. So in terms of speed, Downcomer plates are going to take that. Now we did see Future Boo do an amazing job of cleaning those plates up. As you guys clearly saw there, bubble plates took a lot more time. All those little rivets in between, everything you've got to get into, it just took a little bit more time. And then plus, caked inside of those caps were a little bit of that patina. We had to unscrew those, clean in there. Basically, it was pretty cut and dry. You saw what you saw. Downcomers is going to take the win on that as well. Now, let's go into what we saw during our versatility side of things. When we had these plates running at about 50% reflux on our bubble plate, 50% reflux on our Downcomer, the results were marginally the same at first. We saw around the same quality of spirit. In terms of flavor, it was about the same. The fact that we were able to get the flavor over with at least half those plates active goes to show that both these plates are fairly versatile. Now, as those spirits rounded out and we started getting more into our hearts, we began to see those bubble plates clean up the spirit just a little bit better on the versatility side. We still had that flavor, but it came through as a more well-rounded type of deal, and I guess it just had more of a smoothness to it. So in terms of versatility, I think both these plates are versatile, but I think the bubble plates will do a better job at creating that sort of somewhat passive refluxed pot still mode better. So we're going to go ahead and give versatility to bubble plates, but that one's a close one. And here, as we stand in our final note here, stripping power. Can these plates strip? I think they will need a deflagrator to strip to their fullest extent, but the plates by themselves, what they can do in their own right, I think it's pretty effective. Again, we're comparing this to our sort of like pseudo pot still mode, and we think it's coming over much cleaner. Is that spice from the rye still coming over? Yes, it is. We're not in full reflux mode, and so it's not really hitting that fully without the deflagrator, but once more, we saw a pretty heavy increase in proof from about 110, 120 to 160, 40 proof points, and I think they did a pretty decent job of cleaning things up and making the spirit more palatable. For that one, I'm inclined to give it a tie, but once more, what the bubble plates are doing is going to sort of just do what the downcomers can do to a better extent. I think we're going to go ahead and give stripping power to the bubble plates. Now, with everything said and done, every test we've administered here, the results are clear. This Distilling Duel is going to be a draw. With that, guys, we're going to go ahead and conclude this episode of Distilling Duel. I hope you guys liked what you saw here, and we will be around for future videos, so you stick around, okay? We'll see you guys later.